Welcome to Neogenesis Nutrition, your place for a new beginning, where health is not just a destination, but a profound and transformative odyssey. Hello, I'm Dr. Jennifer Champion, Doctor of Clinical Nutrition, board-certified hypnotherapist, author, and a general badass, with a relentless dedication to challenging the status quo and pushing the boundaries of conventional medical wisdom. I have earned a reputation as a fearless pioneer in the functional nutrition world. Developed out of grief and armed with a deep-rooted passion for uncovering the underlying causes of disease and dysfunction, I embarked on a journey of discovery that led me far beyond the confines of traditional medical and nutrition education. I refused to accept the limitations of mainstream approaches and instead delved into the realms of alternative therapies, functional medicine, and cutting-edge nutritional science. Welcome back to Neogenesis Nutrition, your go-to resource for understanding women's health in depth. Today, we're diving into an important topic, progesterone versus progestin. Our conversation today is inspired by Dr. John Lee's influential book, What Your Doctor May Not Tell You About Menopause. And I am your host, Dr. Jennifer Champion, and today we're going to uncover the roles of these hormones and why it's crucial to know the difference between them. So, to start, let's understand what progesterone is. Progesterone is a natural hormone produced by the ovaries and in smaller amounts by the adrenal glands. Dr. John Lee describes progesterone as a vital hormone for women's health, as it plays a crucial role in regulating the menstrual cycle, maintaining pregnancy, and supporting overall reproductive health. However, in our menopause and postmenopausal ages, that hormone drops dramatically, leading sometimes to feelings of anxiety, irritability, and insomnia, as well as potential weight gain. So let's talk a little bit about the functions of progesterone, and this goes across the age span. Progesterone is often called that feel-good hormone, and for a very good reason. Dr. Lee points out several key roles that progesterone plays in the body. The first one is it balances or opposes estrogen. Progesterone helps to balance the effects of estrogen, preventing conditions like estrogen dominance, which can lead to issues such as fibrocystic breasts, uterine fibroids, endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, mood swings, irritability, insomnia, and weight gain. The second, it supports pregnancy. It prepares the endometrium for a potential pregnancy after ovulation, and it maintains the endometrium during pregnancy. Third, it helps with bone health. Estrogen has definitely gotten the spotlight over the years for its role in bone health. However, progesterone is really, really important. Progesterone stimulates bone building, so it triggers the production of osteoblasts, which are the tiny baby bone cells that are going to grow and become full-size cells. And it's crucial in preventing osteoporosis, yet it's not one of the hormones that is often in the conversation with my perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopausal women with either their primary or OBGYN. 4, helps with mood and sleep. And I often joke that sleep is one of my favorite places. It's definitely a nice cross between being alive, but completely unconscious. So I like to vacation there as often as I can. But progesterone has a calming effect on the brain. It helps with mood regulation and improving quality sleep. And surprise, number 5, progesterone helps with thyroid function. Progesterone helps to balance the thyroid, help it function properly, and can definitely impact overall metabolism. And again, these are all things that are not being spoken of in terms of the conversation of that midlife change that a lot of us, especially in my clinic, are going through right now. So now let's shift gears and let's talk about progestin. Now, progestin is the synthetic hormone, and Dr. Lee emphasized that progestin is not the same as natural progesterone. He's right. Progesterone is natural, and progestin is a synthetic form of progesterone that's used in hormonal therapies and contraceptives. Although it mimics some of the functions of natural progesterone, progestin is chemically different and can have very distinct effects on the body. Here's some very important key spots for you to recognize the difference between progestin and progesterone and how that affects the human body. According to Dr. John Lee, there are significant differences between progesterone and progestin, which can lead to different health outcomes. And as I've been explaining this more and more within my private practice to my women that are coming in, they're, experiencing those hot flashes or some irritability or some unexplained rage for no good reason. Now, granted, there are times that we have that reason, but most of my clients are saying there's no good compelling reason as to why I'm thinking this way, feeling this way, or even behaving this way. So let's talk about the difference. So first, the chemical structure. Natural progesterone is identical to the hormone produced in the body. Progestins, on the other hand, are synthetic and often have additional chemical groups that make them different from progesterone. So the structure isn't the same. You can imagine what the body is trying to do with that, or it's trying to recognize it, but can't. The biological effects are also very different. Progesterone has a range of benefits that synthetic progestins do not provide. While progestins can prevent pregnancy by inhibiting ovulation, they don't offer the same protective benefits to bones and heart health that the natural progesterone does. There's also side effects involved. Progestins can have side effects such as increased risk of blood clots, mood changes, and other health risks. Dr. Lee suggests that natural progesterone is generally better tolerated and has fewer side effects compared to the progestin. And I've seen this in practice. Working with a variety of hormonal conditions of my women, a lot of them are being prescribed progesterone, in quotes there. You couldn't actually see that I was doing air quotes. But they're telling me, oh, I'm taking progesterone. And I'm like, okay, bring in your bottle. Let me take a look at it. And it's almost always a progestin. And it's in a significantly higher dose than what we naturally produce on a day-to-day basis. So usually with the prescriptions, pharmaceutical version, we're getting anywhere from 100 to 200 milligrams of progestin. The human body produces only about 15 to maybe 40 milligrams of progesterone on a daily basis. So essentially, we're flooding the body with progestin. The body doesn't know what to do with it. It wants to kick it out, but doesn't know to do that. And what my clients usually experience is in the first couple of weeks, up to a couple of weeks really, they feel better. They're sleeping better. They have more energy. The moods are improving. And then the end of that 2 weeks happens for those that are on progestins, and the symptoms come back with a vengeance, almost worse than what they were when they originally started. And then they feel extremely frustrated. And then they go back to their primary or prescriber, and then they're told, well, let's just increase the dose. And that same cycle happens again, but this time it's an even shorter time span for how they're feeling in terms of feeling better. And then they revert and then they go back. And this cycle just keeps going over and over. Or then they start giving antidepressants or any other sort of medication, thinking, well, we're giving you the progesterone, so we don't know what's not, why it's not working for you. But unfortunately, it was an abundance of a synthetic progestin. And the body didn't know what to do with it initially, thinking, oh, this is a good thing. But essentially, it fails in the long run. It also, the progestins versus the progesterone, there's this receptor interaction that's going on. Natural progesterone and synthetic progestins interact differently with the hormone receptors in the body. It goes back to the body doesn't necessarily know how to recognize the progestin. Progesterone fits perfectly into the body's hormone receptors. It's kind of like trying a key. Put the key in the door, hopefully it turns, voila, and you open the door. Same thing with the progesterone. It fits perfectly into that keyhole versus the progestins create an unnatural response, which might lead to those negative effects. So you try to put a key that doesn't fit, like you can get it in the slot, but it doesn't, the teeth don't line up just right. And the hormonal system is very delicate. So this is an important factor to keep in mind. And with that, we'll be right back. Are you ready to embark on a journey towards a healthier, happier you? Welcome to the Neogenesis Nutrition Podcast, your ultimate guide to holistic wellness and transformative health. Our podcast isn't just another health show. It's your gateway to discovering the power of nutrition, the joy of balanced living, and the freedom of a body-positive mindset. Each episode is packed with expert interviews, practical tips, and inspiring stories that empower you to take charge of your well-being. Whether you're looking to boost your energy, overcome an eating disorder, or simply feel better in your own skin, we've got you covered. Ready to take the next step? Call us today at 253-507-5775 to schedule your initial consultation. Let's create a personalized plan that fits your unique needs and helps you achieve your health goals. Don't wait. Your transformation begins now. Call 253-507-5775 or visit us on the World Wide Web at neogenesisnutrition.com to schedule your appointment. Neogenesis Nutrition Podcast, where your journey to a healthier life begins. Subscribe now and let's nourish your body and soul together. All right. Well, welcome back. So now let's dive into the why this difference matters between the progestin and progesterone. And understanding the difference between these hormones is essential, especially for women who are navigating menopause or maybe even those who are considering hormone replacement therapy, otherwise known as HRT. And Dr. Lee argues that many of the negative outcomes that are associated with the HRT are actually due to the use of synthetic progestin rather than natural progesterone. And you may be wondering, well, why don't we just use natural progesterone? And we used to. That is what actually used to be prescribed. And this is, 50 years ago or so at this point. And it became hard to source the natural progesterone. Also, you got to think about the monetization of medications versus something that is more natural, right? They can't patent anything that is in nature. However, we can put a patent on anything that is created in a lab. Well, when something is patented or has a patent on it, it's going to drive more revenue for whoever the one is who's holding that patent. So keep that in the back of your mind as well as we go through the remainder of this podcast. So women who are seeking relief from menopausal symptoms or who are looking to balance their hormones really should discuss what will work best for them with their healthcare provider, and maybe even the suggestion of using the bioidentical progesterone instead of the synthetic progestins. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the side effects like a comparison of the effects that will occur with progestins versus using a natural progesterone. So natural progesterone has the following benefits to it. It protects against endometrial cancer. It protects against breast cancer. It can normalize libido. It helps with the regrowth of scalp hair, also leading to less facial hair or what we call hirsutism. It can improve cholesterol levels. For those who are trying to conceive, it helps with conception. It also helps with new bone formation. I don't know why that was so hard to get out. And my favorite, it improves sleep patterns. And as somebody who has struggled to sleep pretty much my whole life, using natural progesterone cream has been a game changer for me and my sleep. I now sleep solidly 8 to 9 hours through the night, which is just absolutely phenomenal for me. With my polycystic ovarian syndrome, my progesterone tends to run low. I am also a trauma survivor. And so there is a bit of subconscious hypervigilance. I don't necessarily actively live in it, but it is definitely beneath the surface, which is going to create cortisol drive for me, that stress hormone. And cortisol requires progesterone in order to make itself. And so my cortisol is constantly pulling on my progesterone. And if there's nothing there or an insufficient amount being made, that's going to make my cortisol levels askew as well. So let's go back and talk about the progestin and the effects that we see. And these are all within science, and you can pull up different studies on pubmed.gov. In fact, I definitely encourage you. Don't just take my word for it or Dr. Lee. Be the master of your own health and do your research, but at least you have some idea of where to start. So, progestin, this is the synthetic versions that are most commonly being used. They drive sodium and water into body cells. What does that mean? Well, we're talking about swelling, we're talking about edema, we're talking about just feeling fluffier than you would like to. Loss of mineral electrolytes from the cell. So, yes, sodium is one of the electrolytes, and that one goes in. But the other ones, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, those are being pushed out of the cells. We talked about the edema. Progestins also increase the risk of depression. And I know that that is one of the common symptoms or complaints that I hear from my clients is that they don't feel like themselves or they are depressed. And then it tends to worsen when they're on the progestin. Progestins also increase the birth defect risks. It can increase body hair and thin the scalp hair. So, quite the opposite of what the natural progesterone was doing. It also increases embolism risk and cardiovascular incidence. Progestins also decrease your glucose tolerance, therefore increasing risk of insulin resistance and potentially metabolic syndrome going on to diabetes type 2. Also increases histamine in the system, the progestins do, thereby increasing allergic reaction. Can also create jaundice of the liver and increase acne or skin rashes. Now, both the progestin and progesterone can help protect against the endometrial cancer. And the progestins have a very, very modest improvement in new bone formation. So there's only a couple of spots where the progestin and progesterones will hold hands and kind of meet in the middle. But for the most part, progesterone for the win. Progestin, it's more risky. But do definitely discuss this with your prescriber, your provider, whomever it is that you are receiving your progestin from, to make sure that what you are experiencing is a result of the progestin and or if it is something that you should or want to continue with. All right. So I'd also like to throw in some personal experience. Well, I talked about myself, but more so one particular client that I'm referring to. And this particular client came to me because her libido had dramatically dropped. Now, mind you, she was in her early 40s, so didn't necessarily understand the connection. And this is something that, hormones I've worked with for many, many years. And so we ran the Dutch test, the dried urine test for comprehensive hormones, and her progesterone came back significantly lower than her estrogen. So we started her out with a small dose of progesterone cream, bioidentical, and the one that I use is made from wild yams. And month one went by. She didn't necessarily notice a lot of changes, but I told her, hang in there. We got a lot of work to do. Your progesterone was significantly lower than estrogen. By month two, she reported feeling a little bit lighter emotionally, not physically, but emotionally, and not necessarily having the weight of the world on her shoulders. She also noticed her anxiety was lessening. Not completely gone, but lessening. And I actually just met with her right before I recorded this podcast, and she reported to me a return of her libido, a increase in her quality of sleep, a decrease in mood swings, even though she's having a lot of stress at home and at work, and also just more energy, more pep. Part of that being that she's actually sleeping at night. But that's part of the compilation between, or the work together between sleep and energy, right? And progesterone definitely played a role in that for her. So now this particular client is on a maintenance, and we'll test her levels again in about 6 months and see what changes we need to make. But all of these dramatic and to her very important and impressive changes occurred within a 3-month span. So as you can see, she is now dealing with better health, better sleep, better rest, more energy, less moods, less irritations like the mood swings, and just a return of her sex drive, which I can only imagine is going to help her marriage, thereby lessening even more stress. I've shared with you my personal experience and how progesterone has really helped. And just having this information, and I always make the joke with my clients, like when I first started this out, myself and my clients, we were all around the same age. We were all around that still conception fertility point in our life, and the hormonal challenges are different then. And now we've all kind of shifted, and some clients come and they go, and they come and they go. But for the most part, now my clientele is in the perimenopause, menopause, postmenopausal group, and in so doing more and more research on that area and what that specific population needs compared to the one that I had been working with. And I will tell you hands down, progesterone is a conversation that I am having with almost every female client that walks into my office or meets with me virtually. It is that important, and it takes such a significant hit when we're going through menopause, more so than estrogen does. But of course, estrogen is stronger and it gets more claim to fame, but progesterone is equally important, if not more important. So it's crucial to understand that there's a huge difference between progesterone and progestin. And I hope that you got a chance to glean some of that information. That natural progesterone offers a range of health benefits and fewer side effects compared to those synthetic progestins. And for those who have an interest in learning more or want to join me on this navigational ride that I've been doing, I highly recommend reading What Your Doctor May Not Tell You About Menopause by Dr. John Lee, MD. It's a valuable resource. I can guarantee it's going to be on my shelf for years to come. And it's not a new book. So he was definitely ahead of the game, ahead of the time. And research has definitely backed up everything that he is saying in this book. So you'll have that resource yourself if you choose to do so, to empower you with the knowledge to make the best health decisions for yourself. Remember, you are the one living in your body, and no one knows your body better than you do. Well, that's all for today. And I thank you for joining me on this journey to better understand women's health and the nuances of hormonal therapy. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, maybe even consider leaving a review and share it with others who you think might benefit. Until next time, stay informed and take charge of your health. This has been Dr. Jennifer Champion with Neogenesis Nutrition. Thanks for listening.